I finally understand the freaking hype of a Kindle. Hello beautiful people and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you guys are new here, my name is Gianna Lian and today we have a Kindle video. The long awaited Kindle review, you guys. I'm gonna be going through all my thoughts on this little tiny Kindle. What are my true thoughts? Do I think it's worth it? Should you buy one? What one should you buy? How to decorate it? And on top of that, I'm gonna give you guys some Kindle Unlimited recommendations that I've read over the past like 2 years, I wanna say, and my Kindle TBR of all the books that I have been wanting to read over on Kindle Unlimited, because I think there are so many books over there. Some of them I haven't even still discovered, but I have compiled a pretty good list. So we're gonna get into everything Kindle today, and hopefully you guys take something away from this video. Maybe if you've always wanted to get one, maybe this will be your little push to get one, because I highly recommend getting one. Perfect way to start the video. I 100% recommend getting one of these Kindles. So the first thing I want to jump right into is the Kindle info, like what Kindle do I have, just all about my Kindle itself, not even getting into the book recommendations or anything like that. I know that there are so many different Kindles that you can buy. I personally didn't do too much research. I just kind of went for the one that I knew everyone kind of loved and just what fit my needs perfectly. So I do have the newer Kindle Paperwhite. It has a 6.8-inch display screen and it also has the feature of the adjustable warm light type thing going on. So in the later models, I know that you weren't able to adjust the brightness and the warm light and stuff like that, but this one you can, which does come in handy, especially for your eyes. I stare at screens all the time, so I know it does help my eyes. I don't know if maybe that's just an in my mind type thing or if it actually does help, but who knows? I still like the feature. Those are really the only things that I found specs wise that was kind of different from the previous Kindle Paperwhite, but then again, there could be more and I just don't really know. I've had my Kindle now, I'm pretty sure, for 4 months. This is going on the 4th month. I feel like I'm finally ready to go into my full review now that I've been using it for that long, which I think I've kind of collected a good enough opinion. Before I go into the pros and cons of my Kindle, I just wanted to go into kind of the decorating side. I know that is what I was mainly excited for when I finally bit the bullet and bought a Kindle for myself. I genuinely, yes, was so excited to read on the Kindle, but I was more excited to actually decorate it. I'm pretty sure you guys have all seen all the Pinterest girlies just come up with all these crazy designs for their Kindle and how they decorate it and stuff, and I wanted to be a part of that. I was feeling a little bit of FOMO. I can't lie. The clear case is from Amazon. There was so many to choose from on there. I like this one. I've had it on for 4 months. It hasn't yellowed too much. That was my main worry about a clear case. Sometimes you just never know, especially from Amazon, but after 4 months, this one is holding up pretty well. It does have the rounded edges on the side, so it offers more protection in case you drop it. Knowing me, that is absolutely perfect. I am very clumsy. I don't really have any complaints about the clear case itself. There's no scratches on it. There's no like wear or tear after 4 months. I do think that I would have to renew this case after maybe a year. I don't think it will last that long, but it also was so cheap on Amazon. So for the price and for what I got, I think it was a pretty good deal in my opinion. And on a side note, little shameless plug, I will have my Kindle case and my actual Kindle that I purchased down in my storefront on Amazon. A lot of people don't know I have an Amazon storefront, so make sure you guys check that link out because these products will be down there along with some of my other favorites and some of my favorite books. I kind of made little lists for you guys. I also get a lot of questions about how I decorated my case. I have lots of videos explaining in detail how I kind of get stickers for free. I definitely DIY it. All the stickers and inspo itself is from either Redbubble or Pinterest that I save, but I basically print them, cut them out, and just place them on the back of the case because I like to change this very often. So with me just being able to place them with a little piece of tape, I can not only reuse them, but it obviously makes it a lot easier for me to be able to take it off and change it whenever I want. That is basically all for the info on the Kindle itself. Now we are finally going to get into the pros and cons of my Kindle. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I'm gonna be so completely transparent. There is only one con out of this whole thing. I really was trying. I was trying very hard to reach into the depths of my brain of like, what honestly don't I like about my Kindle? And I literally had to sit there for about 10 minutes because I could not figure out what I didn't like about my Kindle. But I did find one thing. So I'm gonna start with that because there's only one con and there's a whole list of pros. And that con honestly could just be me personally because yes, I own a Kindle now, but before, for the longest time, I was reading on my phone through the Kindle app, which you can do. You can do it on your iPad, your computer, your phone, whatever. So I do that still a lot for some reason. If I forget my Kindle, I will read on my phone if I'm out and about and I have that moment to read. So the only con that I've realized with the Kindle and the whole Kindle app as a whole is that sometimes if I read a book that's already downloaded on my Kindle on my phone, I'll read it, and then when I try to transfer it back to my Kindle, it's kind of glitchy finding my spot from where I left off from my phone. That was a very bad explanation, but hopefully you guys understand what I'm trying to get at. It's just very slow to pick up on where I left off, or for it to sync from the Kindle app to the actual Kindle itself. It's just a little glitchy and slow sometimes, which honestly isn't bad, but I do feel like because I've only had it for 4 months, I feel like that shouldn't really be happening yet because it is still a newer device. So that was kind of weird. And just because I do that a lot, I've realized it and it is kind of frustrating, but either way, it's not a big deal. Just thought to mention that. And maybe if I am the only one, let me know. If I'm not, also let me know. Just let me know about that because I feel like I might be the only one. But getting into the long list of pros, because there are so many, I did compile just the general list of pros because there are so many and we'd be here for so long. But the main thing that I absolutely love, and probably just the best thing of Kindle as a whole, is the battery life on this thing, you guys. Genuinely, this thing, I feel like it never dies and I love it so much. I charge this maybe once every other week. It takes 30 minutes for my Kindle to fully charge. It's kind of hit or miss though. Sometimes it takes 30, sometimes it takes under, and this thing lasts, like, I kid you not, almost 2 weeks, and I read it every single day. The battery life just lasts forever, and I think that's absolutely perfect. I know a lot of people use this when they're traveling so that you don't have to worry about your Kindle never being charged. And also just out and about, if you want to just stuff this in your purse and go. The battery life is absolutely amazing, and personally my favorite thing about owning a Kindle. I also love how the paperwhite does offer you still to be able to highlight and add notes into the books that you're reading. So you kind of get to annotate while you're reading on the Kindle. Obviously not to the extent of some of the other Kindle products, but it still allows you to make those little tiny highlights and obviously add some notes if you wish, and that automatically syncs to your Goodreads, which is awesome because then you have the feature to make all your highlights visible on the Goodreads app, so all your friends and followers on there can see all these highlights that you made on your little tiny Kindle. So I really like that feature, especially so that I can look back on some of the quotes I saved or what I was thinking in that moment when I highlighted something. It's just really awesome and makes me feel more connected to the book. You can also do that feature obviously on the Kindle app if you're reading it on your phone or iPad or something as well. So it's nothing new to me to see that. It's just nice that I can still do that on the actual Kindle. I recently discovered this pro, but if you highlight a single word in the text of whatever book you are reading, it automatically pulls up the definition of that word. And it's like an actual dictionary definition. So I found that really cool because sometimes my brain is a little bit slower. My vocabulary is quite small. So when I'm reading books, I might stumble upon a word that I don't really know. And all I do is just hold down the word and it gives me the definition right then and there. I don't have to pull out my phone and look up the definition myself. It just makes it so much more convenient. I recently discovered that by accident, to be honest. It's been so helpful for me. So maybe if you didn't know that, that's a nice little pro. Something very obvious, but I love how tiny and thin my Kindle is. If I don't want to lug around a book in public, I can easily just slip this in my bag and take it literally wherever I want to go, even a purse. It is just so small and portable. It doesn't take up any space, you know? Not only that, but I am the type of person that I hold books so close to my heart that I do not want there to be a bent in the page. I don't want the cover to be scratched. I don't want anything to happen to my physical books. So I get very stressed out if I have to put one of my physical books in my bag when I'm leaving because I know it's gonna get a little bit crumpled. So having the Kindle removes that problem because this little thing can't get bent or anything like that, you know? And also, if you guys are reading on Kindle Unlimited, we all know how ugly those Kindle Unlimited covers can be sometimes. Like, naked men on covers is an absolute no. It is just a no. It's disgusting, it's uncomfortable, it is not fun. So reading those types of covers in public, if you have a physical copy of it, we don't want that to happen. But if you have your Kindle, it gives you that privacy, so no one really knows what you are reading. So it just makes it a lot easier. And I've realized how much I appreciate that once I actually had a Kindle. Another one that I think absolutely everyone talks about that I never understood until I felt it myself and experienced this, I am fully convinced, I've said this to you guys before, and a lot of other people say it, I read so much faster when I read on my Kindle. I don't know what it is, I'm convinced it's magic. I don't know anyone else's reasoning behind this. I can fly through a 600-page book in not even 2 days when I read on my Kindle. If I was reading that physically, that 600-page book, that would take me over a week, easily. When I'm reading a book on here, I just want to binge it. I don't even even know how far I am into it. I don't care. I just want to finish it because I'm enjoying it and I don't want to put it down. I genuinely can't tell you the reasoning behind this. It's just a thing. I'm convinced. So let me know if you guys feel the same way about that. I'm curious to know your guys' thoughts on this because I feel like it's a very popular thing to say. And like I said, I honestly could go on and on and on about all the pros that I have of my Kindle, but generally those I feel like are the main ones that I've really realized and that have really stood out to me. So I wanted to share those ones instead of the millions on my list. But overall, as a whole, I highly recommend you get a Kindle. Maybe do your research a little bit more on what Kindle you guys want to get that suits you perfectly. Honestly, the price point is amazing. I feel like what you get for the price is a deal breaker. We have our little guest that decided to join me. She is feeling cuddly today. Don't mind her. She has separation anxiety. But let's get into what majority of you guys are probably here for, my Kindle Unlimited book recommendations and my Kindle Unlimited TBR. I'm gonna go through the book recommendations first because I feel like the TBR, I don't know too much about those books, so I'm kind of just gonna rapid fire them just so you guys know what I have my eye on, and then maybe if you guys know more about them, you can leave me a comment and tell me if you enjoyed them. So for the book recommendations, I have two categories, standalones and series, because there are a lot of series that are available on Kindle Unlimited that not a lot of people know about. So I obviously need to very quickly talk about the Mindfuck series by St. Abbey. It is one of my favorite series of all time, you guys. All the 5 books are on Kindle Unlimited. It is one book that is spread out between 5 novellas, I want to say. Each book is around 150 pages most, and I finished this series last year and I still think about it to this day. It is one of the first book recommendation series that I give to everyone because of how much I truly love it. It is a serial killer romance, but the serial killer ends up falling in love with the FBI agent that is on her case. It is crazy, it is gory, it is violent, it is absolutely gripping and amazing. So if you take any recommendation from this video, please pick up this series. It is absolutely perfection and amazing. Another series that I love is the Dreamer and Billionaire series by Lauren Asher. The whole series is available on Kindle Unlimited. That's where I read it. I do want to pick up the physical copies, I just haven't gotten around to it. So if you are interested in it and you do have Kindle Unlimited, you can read all of them over there. They are all interconnected standalones. I do recommend you read them all in order because then you get the full effect. But if you aren't interested in that, Final Offer, the last one, was personally my favorite out of all of them. They all were 5-star reads. It is a 5-star series for me, but if I had to choose, that one would be my favorite. It is a small town romance and also a single mom romance, and then the other 2 books go into their own tropes. And it also introduced me to how much I love Lauren Asher's writing in her romance series. Going into more of a psychological thriller moment, I do recommend the Housemaid series by Frida McFadden. Majority of Frida McFadden's books are on Kindle Unlimited. I will go into the standalones that I recommend for you shortly, but this series, I'm pretty sure there's 3 books in it. There could be more, I'm not too sure. I've only read the first one so far, but I am looking to pick up the second and third. This was the first Frida McFadden book that I picked up. I instantly fell in love with her writing. I did not guess the ending, and I binged that book in a night. That tells you something. So highly recommend the series as a whole. It's very loved. One that was kind of popular a while ago, the Wildflower Duet plus Novella by Michaela Smeltzer. I was recommended this by a lovely subscriber that I talk to regularly, and she convinced me. I didn't think I was gonna like it because it is an age gap duet, and I personally just didn't like age gap at the time. I was very no, I'm not gonna read that because of that, and I'm so happy that she convinced me to do it because I love this little duet. It broke me emotionally. I cried. I'm gonna admit it, I did cry. It was so heartbreaking, and the characters are so special to me to this day. So highly recommend this little duet. I do recommend you read the novella. I know novellas are kind of hit or miss for people. They are with me as well, but this one I just knew I had to because of how much I loved these characters and still do. A very random one that I haven't heard anyone talk about is Ecstasy by S.K. Rose. KV Rose, not S.K. Rose. This is a series. I've also only read the first book in it, but I've been meaning to get around to continuing this series because of how up this series is. I'm just gonna outright say it. I love the Devil's Night series, but this one is, in my opinion, a lot worse. No one really talks about this series, and if you are looking for that darker romance that just doesn't really have a plot and it's kind of all over the place, but you are so hooked into it because of how messed up it is, then that is a series I would recommend to you. Again, I've only read the first book, so I don't know if the series continued is as good as the first one, so I will definitely have to get back to you guys on that one, but the first one was absolutely insane, and I just have to recommend it to you. review, but check the trigger warnings because it's gnarly. Which, speaking of the Devil's Night series, I do recommend that whole series. That is also available on Kindle Unlimited by Penelope Douglas. This was kind of my introduction to dark romance. I never really picked up a real dark romance series or book before that, and I just instantly fell in love. Penelope Douglas has a way to just write really, really messed up books, but I eat them up every single time. So if you're looking to pick up a Penelope Douglas book or just a dark romance in general to kind of get into it, I would recommend this one. But again, check the trigger warnings. The Kings of Sin series by Anna Huang. I've also only read the first book of the series, but they all are on Kindle Unlimited, at least the ones that have already released. I'm pretty sure there are a few more books that are still not out yet, but this is a billionaire romance, obviously, at least the first one, and the first one was also an arranged marriage, which I was kind of iffy on, didn't know if I was gonna like, but it surprised me. I did thoroughly enjoy it, and I just enjoyed all the drama that kind of went into the book because there were a lot of rich people problems and kind of like the whole vibe of, oh, I'm better than you because I have all this, this, and that, and kind of royalty almost, and I just ate that up. So I'm excited to continue this series, and knowing that they are all on Kindle Unlimited, that just makes my life so much easier so I don't have to continuously buy the physical copies. Sticking to the Anna Huang train, her Twisted series is also all on Kindle Unlimited. I actually didn't know this. I have the first 3 books all physically, and I didn't even know that they were available on Kindle Unlimited. So that's very, very helpful. I love this series. They all are also interconnected standalones, but I do recommend you read them in order. One that I recently discovered that I absolutely fell in love with was the Full Tilt Duet by Emma Scott. There are obviously 2 books in this series, Full Tilt and All In. I binged both of them back to back because I absolutely fell in love with it. It is the rocker aesthetic, but also opposites attract. It is so heartbreaking. You will cry. I know it. You will cry. Even though both of these books are only around 200 pages each, didn't matter. I grew so attached to these characters, and I read these recently and still think about them every day. It's still very fresh in my brain, and I still am heartbroken to this day. I'm gonna leave it there. You can go into it with what I've said. Just be warned that your heart is going to be ripped out of your chest, stomped on, shredded up, and vacuumed up. You're just gonna be so devastated. And then the last 2 series that I'm gonna recommend to you guys are very special to me. It is the Chestnut Spring series by Elsie Silver. All of these are on Kindle Unlimited, along with her new series that just came out, the Rose Hill series. I haven't read that yet, so I can't recommend it to you. But the Chestnut Spring series, highly recommend. I also didn't know that these were available on Kindle Unlimited, considering I own all the copies. So if you don't want to buy every single one of them in the series, they are available over there. It is a cowboy romance, all interconnected standalones as well. Personally, my favorite so far, I think I'm on the last 2 books. My absolute favorite has to be the second one. That one just hit me a lot harder than I thought it was going to. And then the last one, I saved it for last because I talk about it all the frickin' time, and you guys are probably sick of me saying this to you. But the Addicted/Calloway Sisters by Krista and Becca Ritchie. You guys, if you haven't gotten the hint by now, just read it. Please just read it. All these characters are so complicated, and all of them have a story, and when all of their stories start coming together and you get to know more about every single character as the books go on, it just is so freaking special. I'm still not done the series because it is a 10-book series, but every single book that I've read so far, I highly recommend. It is a 5-star series through and through. Even if I'm not completely done the series, it is still my all-time favorite series I've ever read in my entire life. Enough talk about series, let's get into the standalones. The first one that I have is a Taylor Jenkins Reid book. She's also one of my favorite authors. It's Maybe in Another Life. A lot of her books are actually on Kindle Unlimited, which I also did not know. Crazy how much you learn when you actually start researching something. I'm pretty far down her backlist. I have read a lot of her books, surprisingly, but this one really, really stood out to me. I really enjoyed the concept of the whole kind of everything happens for a reason type message that I got. You're following 2 different sides of a story of this main character in her life if she chose one decision rather than the other. So you're still getting her life if she chose both decisions, but it's kind of telling you how everything still happens for a reason no matter what choice you decide. So I learned a lot from this book. It was really enjoyable, and Taylor Jenkins Reid writing is just amazing. So that was just like the cherry on top, you know? A Love Letter to Whiskey by Candy Steiner. You guys, this one is over 600 pages long, but trust me, it will fly by. The amount of things that went on in this book, you guys, is crazy. I've never read such a complicated love story in my life, but I ate up every single page of it. I didn't care that it was that long because I just needed to know the full story. Uncovering all the layers and getting to know the raw truths of each character of this love story was just absolutely perfect. I think the way that Candy Steiner really brought the whole book together just was perfect. And I know this one is talked about more recently. It does get a lot of hype, but I'm telling you that the hype is right and you just have to give this one a try. Getting into my Frida McFadden recommendations, I do have The Locked Door by Frida McFadden. This has become one of my favorite ones by her personally. I think this one was definitely one of the most twisty Frida McFadden books that I've read by her. Just how she kind of plays with your mind in a way that you think you know what's going on, but really you don't. You genuinely don't know what's gonna happen, and then she throws a twist at you and then you think that's it, and then she throws another twist at you and then she leaves you on a cliffhanger. It's just crazy. If you want a super twisty psychological thriller that you most likely are not going to guess and you are going to binge in one night, that is the one that I recommend for you guys. Along with Never Lie by Frida McFadden, this is the most recent one that I read by her. It was cool, it was great, but now that I'm reading more Frida McFadden's books, I feel like I'm kind of starting to catch on to her writing and just her concept. So this one was a little bit more predictable. I still didn't guess it 100%, but it is a little bit more predictable, but still good nonetheless. It's super eerie, super spooky. It's a couple staying in an abandoned mansion and they slowly unlock the secrets of the past homeowner that kind of just went missing randomly. So it was a super cool concept, super different from other Frida McFadden books. A little summer recommendation. I know it's not summer, but I'm still gonna give it to you. How to Honeymoon Alone by Olivia Hale. I picked this up randomly one day, you guys. I was looking for a short little summer read, just picked it up. Never heard of the author, never heard of the book, and I instantly fell in love with it. I think it was so cute, and plus reading about Mexico, like a vacation trip to Mexico, hello, that is absolutely perfect. I want to be in Mexico right now. It is super cringy, it is pretty spicy, and it's just overall a good time. It's strangers to lovers, like they meet on a vacation and get to know each other and everything goes down in history. It's just super cute, super quick. Along with The Sweet Life by Portia McIntosh. This author actually has a lot of books over on Kindle Unlimited that I recently discovered, so I'm super excited to pick up more of her books because I absolutely fell in love with this one. The concept is super ridiculous, but it is based in that tropical setting of being on vacation, which I really enjoyed, and just the things that went on in it. It's very silly, it's very cringy. So if you're looking for a book that you don't really have to think about, or you're just there for the good vibes and the good time, then I definitely would recommend it. But if you're looking for more of a serious romance that's more structured and more realistic, then I don't recommend it. I read and own this as a physical copy, but I realized that My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell is also available on Kindle Unlimited, and I just recommend this book for you guys to read for something different. Obviously check the trigger warnings. It is very dark. It made me extremely uncomfortable while I was reading it, but I kind of learned something out of it. I kind of got to see that side of a situation like that. It's a very taboo thing that I feel like not a lot of people know the whole story of someone that's went through that. So reading a book about it, it opened my eyes to a lot of things, is the moral of the story. So if you want a darker book and you check the trigger warnings, I would recommend you to read this because I think this author did an amazing job representing this situation. And lastly, Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. I actually listened to this as an audiobook, but it is available on Kindle Unlimited as well. And this is a memoir. It's definitely more serious. As someone that is entering her 20s kind of soon, I found this book very helpful. I'm very personally nervous to go into my 20s. I don't know why, but reading this book kind of, again, opened my eyes to situations that Dolly Alderton got into, and not only just everything she learned about love, but everything she learned in her 20s as a whole, with friendships, relationships, family, expenses, kind of becoming an adult, entering the adult world, and kind of being thrown into it and be like, okay, now you have all these responsibilities. You're responsible for this, and that now, you know? It just helped me understand a lot of things. Highly recommend that one, and I recommend the audiobook as well. Those are all the recommendations that I have for you guys as of right now. Those are my all-time favorites. I've read a lot more on Kindle Unlimited, but those are the ones that I'm pushing at you guys because those are the ones that are actually 100% worth it. Mark my words, they are worth it. But I obviously have a very long list of a TBR as well, so I'm gonna rapid fire go through those because, like I said, I don't know really anything about these. I just have been recommended these from you guys, from TikTok, from other booktubers that I watch, and just kind of added it to a little list. We have Still Beating by Jennifer Hartman. I've seen the rave about this book on TikTok, you guys, more recently than ever now, I feel like, and the Kindle Unlimited cover is like kind of meh, but the physical copy cover, if I enjoy this book, I'm gonna be picking up that physical copy, you guys, because I think the cover is absolutely gorgeous. I think the whole concept of this book is really going to grip me, just the tropes that are going on in it, and I'm just excited to see if I like it as much as everyone else. Meet Me in the Penalty Box by Callie Mel. This is obviously a sports romance, you guys. I just like picking up some random sports romances sometimes, especially if it's a hockey romance. I'm always here for it. I've heard a little bit of things about this book, but not too many. I love the cover. That's what ultimately drew me into it, and it's also on the shorter side, side. So I feel like when winter rolls around, that is like my sports romance era. I feel like when I pick up the most of them. So this one is definitely going to be one that I gravitate towards during that time. There Is No Devil by Sophie Lark. This is a duet. I did read the first one, There Are No Saints. I own that physically and I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. I don't want to buy the second book and it is available on Kindle Unlimited. So I'm definitely just going to pick this up when I'm looking for a darker romance to finish off this duet. But I still do recommend the first book to you guys. It just wasn't my all-time fave. Crossroads by Devony Perry. This is one of her newer series, I'm pretty sure. I've heard so many good things about Devony Perry as an author and I've never read a book by her. So this series definitely caught my eye. I think the second book is coming out very, very soon and the first one actually just released, Crossroads. Could be the vibe. I'm hoping small town. I'm not too sure, but I'm excited to see what it's all about. The Inmate by Frida McFadden. I've heard so much about this, you guys, and it is kind of that prison setting and I've never read a book about that. And Frida McFadden, 2 and 2 go together. I'm just very excited. Along with Ward D by Frida McFadden. I don't know how similar this is, maybe like psych wards and stuff. I don't know. I just know that if it says Frida McFadden in it and I hear good things about it, I'm just gonna pick it up and read it. I love going into her books blind, so I'm not really too worried about it. Those two are just the ones that I've had my eye on the most. Twisted Royalties by Cora Riley. I've had this on my Kindle Unlimited TBR for so long, you guys. It is absolutely insane. I'm pretty sure I put this on here because it reminded me, or it kind of was recommended as if you love the Devil's Night series, you're gonna like this series. So I think that's why I ultimately put this on the TBR. I don't know how long the series is, like how many books are in it, but if it's a darker romance, if it's kind of dealing with like rich kids and like entitlement and stuff like that, I love reading about that. I think that's ultimately why I put this on my TBR. The Exception to the Rule by Christina Lauren. This is also another like mini series. I think these books are shorter. That's how it was explained to me, at least through other videos. And I love Christina Lauren as authors, so I'm excited to just read it, to continue their backlist and see what it's all about. I don't even know what tropes it is for this one, to be honest. Passenger Princess by Morgan Elizabeth. This is a newer release. I did read a Christmas book by Morgan Elizabeth, but I've never read an actual romance book by her. So I'm excited to get into this one. And Passenger Princess, like hello, that title is just everything. The cover is so cute as well. X in the City by Portia McIntosh. I told you guys I read The Sweet Life by her and loved it. So this is the other one that I had my eye on by her that isn't a summer read. She has a lot of other summer books that are already out, but I didn't see too many just regular romances. So this is one that caught my eye and it's dealing with exes. Come on, you guys. I am always here for maybe toxic or maybe like second chance romance. You guys know the vibes already. Mile High by Liz Tomford. You guys, I cannot tell you how many people have recommended me to read this series and I just never got around to it. So the first book, Mile High, and the rest of the books are all on Kindle Unlimited. So I'm hoping to get to Mile High. It is a sports romance series as well. I think each book follows a different sport though, which is kind of interesting. Super excited about this. I hear it's spicy. I hear the writing is amazing. And that's exactly what I'm looking for. By a Thread by Lucy Score. I have a lot of Lucy Score books now that I'm realizing it, like physically, and I have still only read one, and that one was a Christmas book. I've heard lots of good things about this one. It is a chunkier book, as Lucy Score books normally are. So if I can read this on Kindle Unlimited and on my Kindle specifically, we all know that I'm gonna read it faster than I would have if I read it as a physical book. This one's definitely on my list. I don't really need to know too much about it because I like Lucy Score's writing and I've heard the rave about it. The Off Campus series by Elle Kennedy. This is a whole big series. It's been talked about for years and I just haven't read it. I've never read an Elle Kennedy book and I want to understand the hype. And again, it's sports romance. You guys know by now, I'm just compiling a list of sports romances at this point. Haunting Adeline. You guys, am I gonna regret putting this on a TBR? I've been wanting to read it for so freaking long. I'm just scared. Genuinely, from everything I've heard, especially from Larry Reads, I'm scared to read it, you guys. I don't like overly spicy books. It just kind of stresses me out or makes me uncomfortable. So I feel like this book is just not gonna be for me, but I want to read it to like understand. I don't know. It's on the TBR. I don't know if I'm gonna get to it, but just know that it is available if you guys want to read it over there. Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. This one was recommended to me on TikTok kind of randomly. I've never heard of this author. She does have some other books, but this one is explained to be extremely dark. I'm pretty sure it does deal with kidnappings going on, and I did just read Then She Was Gone, which deals with the kidnapping, and I was kind of shocked by that book, but I think the writing was absolutely amazing. So I feel like this book is maybe going to be similar to it or kind of gives the same vibe. So I think that's why I put this on my TBR, and just because I want to see how ultimately dark it actually is. And lastly, Bridesmaids for Hire by Megan Quinn. I've heard some talk about this book, you guys. I've heard how funny this book is. I've heard how silly this book is, and I don't know, I want to give it a try. Why do I feel like this is like a series or something? I'm not too sure, but I've heard lots of good things and didn't know it was on Kindle Unlimited as well until I actually checked. So it definitely just has to be added to the list. But that is officially everything that I wanted to share about my Kindle with you guys. Like I said a million times, and I'm gonna say it one more time, I highly recommend you pick up a Kindle. Obviously, it's not mandatory. You don't need a Kindle in order to read all these Kindle Unlimited books or to feel like included. But I do recommend you get one because I've been loving my Kindle. Christmas is coming up kind of soon, so I definitely recommend you ask for one for Christmas. I think it would be an amazing Christmas present to ask for or to gift to a reader that you know that maybe doesn't have one. I think it's just awesome. Along with all the other accessories that you can buy and make to customize your Kindle, I feel like that's also just so special. I highly recommend. I gave you guys the pros, I gave you guys the cons, I shared my TBR and my book recs with you guys. If you guys enjoyed today's video, please make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff you guys know what to do. Let me know if you guys have a Kindle down below, if you guys have ever wanted one, how you like your Kindle. Just let me know everything about Kindles down below. It's gonna be a whole Kindle conversation down in the comments. I just already know it and I love it and I'm gonna read every single one of them. And I'm talking so much and so fast, but the last thing I'm gonna tell you guys is to check my description box for my Patreon to join my Patreon family. We have so much fun over there. The amount of behind the scenes they get to see is absolutely insane over there, and it's Patreon only exclusive content that no one else gets to see. So if you guys want to be a part of that, make sure you guys check the link down below. But other than that, I'm done talking. I'm done yapping. I'm gonna go read, but I hope you guys are having an amazing, wonderful day as always, and I will see you guys next time. Bye! Okay, yay. June to July, August, September. And I hate that. And so then you can decorate it. That was my favorite part. My battery is going to die. Is it Olivia Hill? I don't want to use this word because I don't like this word. It kind of gives me the ick.